didn't the master plant good seed? He said he did, but the enemy came in, crept in. The enemy crept in and sowed the tares among the wheat. So they wanted to know if he wanted the servants to go and uproot the tares, and he said no. Let them grow up together, and then in the end, I will bring the reapers, and the reapers will come and separate them. The reapers are the angels. We as servants of the Most High, we don't know what the moral of the story is. We don't know exactly everyone who is a tare. I wish I could find it right quick, but I didn't bring it. I didn't mark it. But my phone is over there, so I can't look up on my phone. But anyway, the parable of the wheat and the tares basically gives you a synopsis of what happened with the heritage hijacking. Because today you cannot tell. There are some Israelites that are of North American Indians that look European. However, they're not European. They just look European. There are some Europeans that look like North American Indians, but they're not. Unless you go back and do that person's genealogy, you won't know what they are. And most people, you can only go back so far, so you can't see what their original bloodline started from. So that's why that parable actually sums up the heritage hijacking. But again, they use laws to hijack your heritage. They use iconoclasm to hijack your heritage, and they use relocation to hijack your heritage. So you have to understand that just because a person looks a certain way doesn't mean that they're necessarily what you're looking at. You made it back, man.
Yeah.
You about running out of time, and you ain't got but a few minutes, but we're going to do as much as we can.
Yeah.
Okay. So, what's your name again, bro?
Right.
Roger. Gotcha. Okay. All right, Roger. Okay.
Matthew 13:24.
There we go. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Matthew 13:24 through 30.
Matthew 13:24 through
30.
30. Gotcha. And believe it or not, I have it outlined here, but let me write it down right now. The wheat and tares. Okay. Okay, and it says, another parable he put forth to them, saying, the kingdom of heaven is like a man who sowed good seed in his field. But while men slept, his enemy came and sowed tares among the wheat, and went his way. But when the grain had sprouted and produced a crop, then the tares also appeared. So the servants of the owner came and said to him, Sir, did you not sow good seed in your field? How then does it have tares? He said to them, An enemy has done this. The servant said to him, Do you want us then to go and gather them up? But he said, No, lest while you gather them up the tares, you also uproot the wheat with them. Let both grow together until the harvest. And at the time of the harvest, I will say to the reapers, First gather together the tares and bind them in bundles to burn them, but gather thee the wheat in my barn. Now, that sums up exactly what happened in what we call heritage hijacking. You have Negroid Indians, Mongoloid Indians, all right, that were over here prior to 1492. Prior to 1492 when Columbus invaded. However, starting with Columbus and everybody after them, they practiced heritage hijacking by displacing the Aboriginal people that live on this continent and moving them around and changing their identities and writing laws and making paintings and relocating them in order to either destroy them or exploit them or change your personification or your identity of who they are. So when you look at us today and you see us as what you call Negroes, we're actually Native Americans. However, the average person can't tell the difference because all their life they've been told this false history that if you're a Negro or have any Negroid features, you come from Africa, which is a lie. Now, again, the umbrella of Negro has up under it mulatto, colored, and black. Again, Roger, I'm going over this for your edification since you just got here. Just to recap, what they did was this country that conquered us passed laws. They passed laws, and I'm going to read it to you. This is a law from 1682 in Virginia. Virginia passed 2 acts in 1682 that combined Native Americans and Africans. They're not Africans, they're actually just Negroes that came over from the continent of Africa, into one category as Negroes and other slaves. Okay? The word black may include Negroes, but the term Negro does not include all blacks. You got it? Mulatto, colored, and black are not necessarily Negroes. Why is that? Because the Negroes were the ones that came over on the slave ships. Okay? The Aboriginals, mulatto, colored, and black, are the ones that were already here. They call them Aboriginals. Why do they call them Aboriginals? The root word of Aboriginal is original. We were the original people that were here. The original people that were here were Negroid and Mongoloid Indians. We were the original people that were here. The Negroid on the left was the majority of the Aboriginals that were here. The Mongoloids were only in the plains. You know the difference between the plains and the East Coast and the West Coast, right? Mm-hmm. Okay. You got the East. Where's my map? Huh? I got 15 minutes? Okay, no problem. Okay. You know that you got the West Coast, the East Coast. Right here in this little green section right here, that's the plains. Okay? That's where the Mongoloid Indians were. But they told you in your 9th grade history that they took these Mongoloid people from the East Coast and marched them on a trail of tears to the plains. That didn't happen. They were already there. They just told them don't leave. They took the Negroid Indians, which is on the left, and marched them from the East Coast to the plains in the dead of winter. 90% of them died. Okay? The ones that didn't die, that made it to the plains in the Oklahoma Indian Territory, were classified as freedmen. Okay? So what they did, again, so you got laws, iconoclasm, relocation, and reclassification. Those are the tactics they use to destroy and hijack your heritage and give it to the Mongoloid Indians and the Mongoloid Indians only. Okay? Got that picture out here. Slide that down in here. Okay. 1492 is when it started. 1492 is when it started, when Christopher Columbus came over here and killed, murdered, burnt, hung, fed to dogs, set on fire, you name it. They did it. Columbus did it. So, here we go. You need to see this. It's very, very important. Very, very important. Show you these 2 pictures. Which Americans. There you go. He got it right. These are Native Americans. These are Native Americans. However, these are what basically you would term technically as hybrid Euro-Asian. These came along, if you notice this picture is a lot older than this picture.
Mm-hmm.
These came along when the Europeans mixed with the Mongoloid Indians, okay, and came out with what's called an ambiguous looking Indian that you really can't tell what the hell it is, okay? And they said that they took these Indians and put them in place of these Indians and said that these are Indians and these come from Africa. That's what they did. You follow me, Ms. Marshall?
Oh, yes, I read it down.
You got it, okay. That's how they did. They hijacked your heritage. These were the majority Indians. These are California Indians called the Ohlone Nation.
Mm-hmm.
See how long their hair is?
Yeah.
All right. Now that's one reason. Let me see if I got that picture here. People always ask me, well, how can you tell that those are Indians and not the black people that came over on the slave ships? If you look at every slave picture, you'll notice their hair doesn't grow no longer than an inch. I'm not saying that that's something bad. I'm just saying that's a fact. Okay? That's just one way you can tell the difference. Now, there's exceptions to every rule because some of us mix together. But if you look at the typical picture of a slave that actually came from the African continent, their hair doesn't grow that long. Okay? That's just a typical. I'm not saying there's not an exception to every rule, because some of they mixed us together. They took some of the Negroid Indians and put them on the same slave plantation as the Negroes that came over the slave ships, so some of them have mixed. But for the majority, here you go. This is it right here. This is an actual slave plantation in 1858. If you notice all their hair, their heads are wrapped. It wasn't because they were trying to keep the lice or whatever out of their head. Their hair doesn't grow, so they covered their heads up because they knew traditionally they were Israelites and they knew that a woman's hair is a glory, right? So since they didn't have the glory anymore, because in Isaiah the 3rd chapter, verse 16, the Lord took away their glory because they were so haughty and boisterous and loud and arrogant. He took away that. But that was the southern kingdom, not the northern kingdom. I know this is way ahead of what you studied so far, but you're just not coming in, so I'm giving you a crash course. Ms. Marshall already knows. I'm sorry, Ms. Marshall, I have to go over this again. Okay, but anyway, so you'll know, if you don't come away with anything else, where is my map? Here we go. You, Ms. Marshall, and myself, we come from the northern kingdom of Israel. You follow? Okay. The northern kingdom of Israel, the Gadites. The Gadites became the North American Indians. I can look at your facial features, your hands, look at your crooked fingers. Your hands, your frame, I can tell that you're a Gadite. Okay? Now, I gave you a picture. Did I give you? I gave you a colored picture of the 12 tribes, didn't I?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. If you look on there, let's see. If you look on there, look at the tribe of Gad. Okay. You see those people right there? Okay. Those are North American Indians. The majority of North American Indians. They're black people. What you would call black people. All right. They're not Mongoloids. Okay? I just told you there were two types of Native Americans, Negroid and Mongoloid. Okay? The Negroid North American Indians were predominantly Negroid Native Americans. Negroid. That's proof of it right there. They were dark skinned, but they didn't look like Geronimo. You were told in your 9th grade history that Geronimo, Sitting Bull, what was his name? Crazy Horse. Those were your Native Americans. If you didn't look like those, you weren't not a Native American. If you look like oh shoot, what's the guy? The Florida Seminole named John Horse. You were from Africa. He was a Florida Seminole Indian, but he was a black man, okay, a Negroid Indian. But they told you that if you, this is what they did. They told you that if you had Negroid features, you were from Africa. If you had European features or white features, you were from Europe. If you had Asian features or Mongoloid features, you were from Asia. Those were the three categories they told you in 9th grade history, 10th grade social studies, and all that. These were your three categories that they had. Negroid, European, and Asian. That's it. If you had Negroid, you had to come from Africa and nowhere else. That is a lie. That is a stone lie. The nation of Israel, which is where you originated from before you came over here to the Americas, where my American map at, the nation of Israel that you came over here, you were of the tribe of Gad, which the most important thing you need to remember is you are of the nation of Israel. According to your Bible, and this is not a Bible class, this is a historical record class. I use historical documents, artifacts, and paintings and records to prove the historical record of the Bible tells you the truth, okay? I'm not preaching any religion, I'm not promoting Christianity or Islam or nothing. I'm just telling you the artifactual record, the paintings, stones, carvings, everything, wall paintings, tell you that these people, out of the 18 nations that were created in the Bible, this one up at the top, the Israelite nation, consisted of Negroid, all of these people except for Ammon. You had Ammon and Moab, which became the Japanese and the Chinese, okay? You remember Lot had two daughters, right? When Sodom and Gomorrah went down, his daughters got him drunk and got pregnant by their own father. They came out with a condition called Mongoloidism, which they had Mongoloid eyes, okay? So what they did was these three tribes of Israel bordered on those two nations. When they bordered on those two nations, they had children by those two nations. So those children looked Mongoloid, okay? So when they got released out of the Assyrian captivity, the northern kingdom, this is the northern kingdom, these are the northern kingdom. They look like Negroes, don't they, with woolly hair, woolly beards. The Egyptians didn't have beards, okay? But this is the Assyrian captivity. The Negroid northern kingdom of Israel went into captivity, all right, 741 BC. When they were released from captivity, they got on boats and they came over to what's now called the Americas. Now, that part, here's the Assyrian captivity right here. Okay, Israel in captivity. Assyria took us to captivity and took Babylonian people and put them in our place in northern Israel. All right, when we got on the boats and left here in captivity, way over here somewhere in Assyria, when we got on boats, we came over here to what's called the Americas. It wasn't called America, it was called Arsaret. When we left over here and came over here on boats, got over here, we spread out north, central, and south. Now, I have artifacts, paintings, and stone carvings from Mexico. And I got pictures of them that show Negroid people that spoke Hebrew from all the way from Canada all the way down to the Amazon River. Hebrew. They spoke Hebrew, but they were Negroid-looking people. Africans didn't speak Hebrew. So that proves that we, the Black American, are from the northern kingdom of Israel, of the tribe of Gad, all right, Reuben, Gad, Manasseh, okay? And on that chart I gave you, it showed you how each one of those 12 tribes, who they are today, okay? So it tells you where they are and who they are. That is taken from Genesis, the 49th chapter, okay, in the Bible. That tells you exactly, and it told you where they would be at. Specifically told you. Now, I'm gonna give you to prove my point. Let's go over who you are, Gad. It said that in Genesis the 49th chapter, it said, Gad, a troop shall trample upon him. A troop. We all know the U.S. cavalry, which is a troop. Got troop A, troop B. They had what's called Fort Dixon, whatever the forts were, or Fort Hood. Troops. Those troops chased down the North American Indian from the 1600s all the way until 1920. They kept pursuing the North American Indians. So that right there tells you who the tribe of Gad was going to be in Genesis the 49th chapter. Okay? So we know that wherever the North American Indians would be, wherever the tribe of Gad would be, wherever the tribe of Gad would be, we know that a troop would be pursuing them for a long time. All right? That's what Genesis the 49th chapter says. Now, we know that the North American Indian was chased down and their food supply was destroyed. Those are buffalo. They killed them by the thousands because we, the North American Indians, fed on the buffalo. We followed the migration patterns from Canada all the way down to Mexico. Every year, we would follow the migration pattern all the way down here to Mexico, from Canada all the way down, from East Coast all the way down to Mexico. We followed the buffalo everywhere they went. They killed the buffalo off so that we wouldn't have a food source. All right? Where's that picture? That's the map. They killed the buffalo off, and let's see here. I got a chart. There you go. I got a chart that shows how when they chased us down, when it started in the 1600s, when they started getting together militias, they started conquering us and killing us as early as the 1600s. And what they did was, everywhere they went, if they didn't kill us off, they would make slaves out of us. Here we go. The Indian Wars. In the 17th century, starting in 1622, you had the Powhatan Confederacy. Virginia, following the initial period of peaceful relations, a 12-year conflict left many natives and colonists dead, but the remaining colonists were victorious. You got the Pequot War, 1637, King Philip's War, 1675, Pueblo Revolt, 1680, French and Indian War, 1689. 18th century, you had the Tuscarora War, 1711, Yamasee War. Remember I told you people probably Yamasee? That was 1715. Pontiac Conspiracy. We don't even have Pontiac Indians anymore. They wiped them all out. But they were black people. That's why they wiped them out. 1763 in the Ohio River. Lord Dunman's War, 1774. Old Northwest Warfare, 1790. And on and on and on. It said, Gad, a troop shall trample upon him. There's your troop. So that chart is correct. So it tells you where you would be. So if you are a descendant of the North American Indians, you are from the tribe of Gad, G-A-D, Gad, all right? That's why I got this on my shirt, okay? And this is my grandfather, and I got the originals. So nobody can tell me my people aren't Native American. Yeah. I got it. So what it does, what time I got, Miss Marshall? What it does, we ain't got no time. We ain't got no time. Okay, well anyway. On the dot, okay, I gotta get out of here. Okay, so I'm gonna start wrapping up. But anyway, so for your edification, what you have to go away understanding is that unless you got an African passport that says you from Nigeria or Ethiopia, or somewhere like that, you don't come from Africa. You come from Israel, okay? You are an Israelite, and there is, now, I gotta mention this, you have to get this chart. I'm gonna give you a copy of it, okay? You gotta get this chart. Without this chart, you're lost, because you got to know that if you're an African, you have to come from one of these four. You got to come from one of these four nations. Okay, the Africans. Okay, you have what is it? Ham, Ham, Shem, and Japheth. When you had the flood, remember now, Adam, everybody's supposed to say you come from Adam, right? We all come from Adam. We all the same blood. After Adam, there was a great flood, Noah's flood, wiped out everybody except for Noah and his 3 sons. His 3 sons were Shem, Japheth, and Ham. Ham became the progenitor of the so-called dark races, however, not the Israelites. The Israelites come from Shem. You can't be an African because your bloodline doesn't go back to these 4 boys. Canaan, Phut, Mizraim, and Cush. Mizraim is where the Egyptians are. There is no son named Egypt. The actual name is Mizraim, but they was given the name, the land Mizraim, which is up here in Africa, right there on the tip, in what's called Egypt. The word Egypt means bondage or slavery. Since the Israelites were put in slavery, okay, since they were put in slavery in the land of Mizraim, the land was called Egypt because Egypt is Hebrew for bondage. You got it? Okay. So that is why it is important for you to know